Today I'm so excited that on the Zing Wellbeing podcast, we're joined by the fabulous Rochelle Courtenay from an incredible charity called Share the Dignity. Now, welcome, Rochelle. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. It's nice to be here and have a chat.
Yeah, it is. It's so good. Now, we'll talk more about your charity and all the amazing things it does. But do you want to just give us a snapshot first of what you do? Because it's all about ending period poverty, right?
Yeah, so I am Rochelle, otherwise known as the Pad Lady of Australia, a title I'm pretty proud of, even cool enough that my husband gave me the number plates for Christmas last year, which means that my kids will not drive my car anymore. They do not think it's cool. So I started Share the Dignity back in 2015 when I read an article that talked about the fact that women who were experiencing homelessness were having to use socks and newspaper and wadded up toilet paper to deal with their period. And I was mightily embarrassed that I'd never thought that could be a problem for anyone, let alone people who were experiencing homelessness. And at that stage, I had my own personal training business, and I asked all my clients to bring me a packet of pads or tampons for every wine they had in the month of February 2015. So some of my ladies would bring me a bag and say, let's not count them, let's just start training. But, you know, my mission then, as it is now, is to make sure that there isn't a person in Australia who doesn't know that this problem exists, because there's not one of us women who wouldn't give a woman a pad or a tampon in a bathroom and say, are you okay? Yeah. And make sure that she's all right. So that's what Share the Dignity is all about. So in March and August, our collection boxes go out in every Woolworths supermarket store across Australia, and, you know, another 1,000 plus businesses. They are to make it super easy to donate a packet of period products. We've now had more than 5 million packets of period products donated that we've then given out to our 3,500 charities that we work with. And we have more than 3,000 amazing volunteers around the country who make the magic happen. So whether the products are donated in Ballarat or Bendigo or Brighton or Broome, they stay in that local area to help every woman who's facing domestic violence, homelessness, severe poverty, those sorts of things. I just can't imagine that giving them period products means it's one less thing that they need to worry about.
Oh, wow. I mean, I have to say, I did not know about this problem before I kind of learned about what you do as well. And I think it is incredible what you do. Like, congratulations and well done for doing something so absolutely needed and incredible, because it's a huge problem. And like you said, you've given over 5 million products out. I mean, I can't imagine the difference, how many women it has significantly helped. So incredible. So anything we can do to help raise awareness, I'm so happy to be here talking to you about it. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask you about as well is because I read on your social media that you had a real problem with iron deficiency. And I think that, you know, a lot of women don't know about the iron deficiency issue. And I think that even not just women, but the iron deficiency is the biggest global nutrient deficiency anywhere, and of any nutrient deficiency. And it's thought that around 30% of people around the world are iron deficient, but women have a higher predisposition of this. So talk to me about, you know, how you found out you were iron deficient. I mean, I think I read that you'd got down to something like 5 in your deficiency, which is, you know, it's unbelievable.
I'm wondering, I was walking around like a zombie, right? Yeah, look, I'd suffered severely from endometriosis all my life. So very heavy periods was very normal for my life until I had a Mirena put in. It did change my life, but I'd still suffered with low iron being in the 30s, right? Which is fine. You can keep going on and you can supplement with an iron tablet. You know, I'm pretty sure that if you can't afford period products, though, you're really not going to be able to afford iron tablets as well, right? So I feel like I've been on iron tablets and vitamin D tablets all my life, and I spend a lot of time outside in the sun. Whatever's happening is not absorbing anyway. Recently, though, I had a hysterectomy 2 years ago. So I thought my iron may start to increase, but that wasn't the case. And so when I went for my yearly checkup, my iron levels were 5. And quite significant were the issues that were going with that. And you know what? I put those issues down to menopause because obviously when I had a complete hysterectomy, I also went straight away into menopause. And that was harsh in itself. But I thought that the brain fog, the tiredness, now the tiredness, it wasn't even tired. It was lethargy. Like I was dragging my ass to be able to get through the day. Right. So,
because menopause is brutal, right? Like it is, and I think that there are so many I would say symptoms or side effects of menopause, and even I will go, my skin's a bit dry, menopause, or my eyes are a bit dry, menopause, everything. I'm like, it's probably menopause. And when you were so iron deficient and so lethargic and tired, did a doctor ever say to you, let's look at iron, or did they just automatically say, oh, it will be menopause?
Look, I think that I have had to take charge of my own health coming from that wasn't even my first hysterectomy. It was my second hysterectomy. The first hysterectomy was to take out what the doctor thought that he should take out when I literally went in there and pleading to get it taken out. So I feel like we have to have the knowledge that we need. It was me who went to the doctor and said, right, I need to get my blood test. This is not normal. I can't even get through a whole day without having a nap. Like it was so bad. But what else was bad that I'd also put down was, I don't even know if you'd call them restless legs, but cramps in my legs, to the point where every night I would lay down and there'd be a good hour where I really couldn't even go to sleep because my legs were cramping so bad. As soon as I had my iron infusion, they were gone. I thought I was magnesium deficient. I was popping magnesium like they were Tic Tacs, right? So it wasn't actually the magnesium, it was the lack of iron. And yet I didn't have the knowledge to know that actually was another symptom of low iron. So, but when I had the iron infusion, it cost me about $600 to do that. Like how many people could afford to do that?
Not many.
Changed my life, right?
Wow. And with the iron infusion, is that like a once a month, once a year? Like what is it? How long do you have to, or how regularly do you have to do that?
Well, that's the first time I've ever had to do it. And I've had quite low iron. That's the first time that they've ever said this is the only solution for you now because your iron levels were so low. I'd never been in the single digits before. I'd been in teens and in the 30s and so forth. I now will get my iron checked every 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm yet to have that 3 months run, but I literally feel like I can feel it. I feel like a completely different person to the person who was getting an iron infusion before.
Wow. I can't imagine the impact of your day-to-day life if you're having to have a nana nap throughout the day.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Well, even to the point where the fatigue was so bad, I could just sit here at my desk and fall to sleep like that. Like who can do that?
And what happens if your levels were obviously extremely low at 5, but what happens if somebody gets to 1? Like what are the health implications when it's so low, for you?
I don't know that I'm skilled enough to know what that is, but I do know from our bloody big survey that that number is over 60% of women who have low diagnosed iron in Australia. So when you were talking about it, what that looks like globally, in Australia, in 153,000 responses, more than 60% of women said that they had diagnosed low iron. Imagine those that don't even know, that aren't going out and getting their blood tests. And this is what we should be making sure that every woman gets their blood tested every year to make sure that they know that is a marker that they can't be living their best life. You can't live your best life with low iron. That's what I know.
100%. I mean, I remember when I was pregnant and I went for my, routine checks and my iron, I think, was down to 9. That's because the baby's sucking everything out of you. and,
Yeah.
but I have blood tests every year that check all my everything because I'm just
Mm.
paranoid, but I like to just, check on everything. But like you said, in your bloody big survey, it was the biggest survey done for menstrual, wasn't it, ever, with 150,000 responses, which is incredible. 63% had low iron. So what do we do about that? Because, like you say, the most, I would say, 90+% of people aren't going to be able to go and spend $600 on an infusion. What do they do? Like, if these women are in a real dire situation, what is the solution for them?
Yeah, look, I don't know what the solution is, but I think that there needs to be an awareness campaign around like, to me, 63% of Australian women having low diagnosed iron is a health catastrophe. Like, how are we not aware of that? What are the implications on that, on the economy, on the women's health, of them being their best versions of them? Having conversations with our federal minister for health and making them be aware that this is a problem. How can we also ensure that in your workplace that you are able to have an hour off to go and get your blood tests? Because if that is a barrier to getting blood tests, oh, I can never fit that in.
Yeah.
You know what? I know that I want my staff to all be at the best functioning version of themselves because I'm going to gain from that. So how do we make sure that workplaces are also aware of that? I think I think we need to have wraparound solutions to making sure that by the time we do that survey again in 3 years' time, that there are better numbers than that, because that is absolutely crazy, not okay. And I think the other thing is that if people can't afford period products, and that is a big percentage of that 153,000 as well. 1 in 4 cannot afford period products. I can bet your ass they cannot afford iron tablets as well, right? So are you going to prioritize feeding your children or getting iron tablets? And I know that I was spending, $24 a month every month on iron tablets, if not more, right? So how can we look at it from a society of how do we have the best health outcomes for women?
Yeah, and I think that's such a good point. I mean, I remember, when I used to work in the UK, I'm not sure if they did it in Australia, but they used to have kind of like blood buses or blood banks coming around where you could go when you're at work and donate. And it was really easy to do, just to be at work and go and donate some blood. And I think it would be a great idea if you could do the same, if you had these government funded like women buses. Go and get your mammogram done, go and get your bloods done, go and get checked. Because I think, certainly a lot of people I talk to, and I'm guilty of this as well, is we're all so busy and we all go, oh, especially because we're juggling kids, right? And we all feel that guilt if we're working, when there's, especially now at this time of the year, when there's Christmas carols and Christmas this, and we have to leave work and go to school and do things, that if we then have to go, I've got to go and get blood tests, I've got to go and get this checked. It's all time eating into employment, I guess. And I think if employers could come on board and the government could come on board to support women to go and get that help, it's going to make, as you said, staff more productive when you're in work, and it's going to just be better for everyone's health. Because it is, if your survey, obviously very robust at 150,000 responses, 63% are deficient. I mean, that's enormous.
It is enormous. And how do we, as the only thing you can't buy is good health, right? So how can we also, as women, be putting our health as the highest priority? Because you can't go to concerts, you can't go to school things if you're not the best version of you. And I'm always banging on about making sure that you take the time for you first before you can help anybody else. And if that's regular blood tests, if that's regular exercise, if that's making sure you're putting the time into eating properly, all of those sorts of things. I mean, I think there needs to be a way forward of making sure that your health is not the last thing on the list, right? It is actually has to come first and foremost.
100% agree. And I think that When we talk to women, and I talk to a lot, I'm a mum as well. We all want to live as long as we can. We want to be there for our kids. Longevity, when we think about it and talk about it, we all go absolutely 100%. That's what we want. But the day to days all add up. And if we're not looking after the day to day and our health, then it's going to add up, and it is going to impact what our goal is, which is to be there for our kids as they grow up and live a longest and healthiest life that we can. But I do think that the life we all live today is so hectic that women don't put themselves first, and not just women, men as well. But obviously, we're talking about women. But
Yeah, yeah.
it is an enormous issue, and I was just surprised at the numbers, and also to hear your own story of how we got so low, which is very frightening, and it must just feel like you've got a new lease of life right now that you've got your
Yeah, I got zing in my step. So yeah, I mean, I think that I was still doing the things that I'm doing now because you have to, right? But I do them with a much clearer brain. No need for a nap. I go to bed at the end of the day and I'm exhausted and I go to sleep. I couldn't even, like, when your sleep is also affected by that, like, even though I was tired, I struggled to go to sleep because I was dealing with cramps and restless leg and all of those sorts of things. So when you don't get sleep, that has a big impact on your life. I'm a grandmother now, and I'm always talking about I need to be able to get down on the ground, get up forever. That's the sort of person I want to be. I want to be 95 years old and still going to the gym 3 times a week, lifting weights and being the strongest version of myself. But we also need to drop the ladder down and make sure that we're making a better, healthier life for women and girls everywhere.
Absolutely.
Whether that's the provision of period products, whether it's the provision of the data which we've collected to make better health outcomes for women, that's what we're all about.
Absolutely. And did you find that, obviously you're taking iron supplements and the iron infusion, did you ever find that eating those iron-rich foods helped, or was it just not getting absorbed for you?
Just wasn't getting absorbed for me. And I ate mushrooms. I'm not a very big meat eater. So, I mean, that had its issue. But, I'd try. I'd go and I'll just eat red meat for me, I also had I have a vitamin D deficiency, which is so weird because I walk every morning for an hour. On the weekends, I walk for hours. I spend time in the garden. So it's not like I'm not getting the sun. It's just not absorbing.
Yeah, it's so hard though, isn't it? I mean, iron. It's so common though. Like, I've got lots of friends whose kids have got iron deficiencies, and they're back and forth to the doctor, and it's just because obviously I don't know if people listening know that if you have, for example, if you're trying to intake iron, if you take it with calcium, it doesn't really absorb, and you should try and take it with vitamin C's, things like capsicum, citrus fruits, things like that. But it is really hard, especially if you don't eat meat. But if you are listening and thinking, oh my goodness, I don't eat meat, what can I have? There are things like tofu, seeds, nuts, spinach, which are great. But as you said, if there is a problem with absorption, then obviously that's not going to just be a quick fix. So it's very difficult. And for those women who are in, severe economic issues, whether it's homelessness or poverty, it's really difficult. So I think your idea of campaigning to the government, I'm all up for that. Because I think,
all right, well, from this, let's try to get QML or one of those blood read to go to travel to offices. Like, seriously, I would pay somebody to come here and do the bloods of all the women that work here. What an amazing thing to do.
I agree. I think
there's a new business.
Yeah, we've got to talk about this afterwards, because I think it's an amazing. I think it's much needed, and especially when you're talking rural and not being able to get to places easy. You've got to put yourself first, and and if we need help doing it from governments, then let's take the help. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
So Rochelle, talk to me about share the dignity, and how women listening to this going, I didn't know either. How can we get involved? How can we help you do what you do? Tell us about some of the things you're doing, so that we can be educated, so we can help too.
Well, right now we're in our It's in the Bag Christmas Appeal campaign. So that's where we ask everyday Australians to donate a bag that they no longer used or can be a new bag. Fill it with life's essentials, things like shampoo, conditioner, toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, soap, and then period products. Anything else you put into your bag is up to your bag size, your imagination, and your budget. So I've owned 7,423,000 hair ties in my life, and I can never find one. So I always put a pack of hair ties in. Chapstick, I've got a chapstick in my drawer, in my bag, in my car, beside my bed. I always put chapsticks in my bag. We then get those bags. You drop that bag that you've put together into any Bunnings around Australia from the 15th of November to the 1st of December. And then we get them out to every woman spending Christmas in a domestic violence shelter or experiencing homelessness or extreme poverty. And I think when you think about a way that you could tangibly help somebody, there is nothing more impactful than putting together a bag and ensuring that somebody has the gift of hope this Christmas.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. And can I ask, if they're going out to women in domestic violence situations, should we be doing something for the kids as well, popping like a toy or something like that in those bags as well?
I'm sorry. I waited till you'd finished so you didn't have to cut it. Look, there are so many different charities that work in giving children school backpacks or presents at Christmas. And this is why it's in the bag is there, because there were lots of Christmas presents for kids, but never anything for the mum. So we're focusing on just what the mum needs to have. We do 3 different types of bag: a women's bag, a teen bag. So there are a lot of teen girls who are experiencing homelessness or, you know, tapped out of the foster care system and wouldn't otherwise get a Christmas gift. We ask you to put a yellow ribbon on that, or a mum and bub bag. So for a woman who's, you know, just had a baby and cannot afford those items, we have a shopping list for each one of them on the website, which makes it super easy for you to download and take it shopping. You know, we are also really mindful that, you know, Australians are doing it really tough. And I would say to you, if you can't afford to put together a bag on your own, grab your bestie, grab a couple of friends and go out shopping and do it all together, or get people to give you different things to put the bag together. I think that it's really important to make sure that everybody receives a Christmas gift, especially those women who are doing it really tough.
Oh, I love it. I'm definitely going to be doing that. I'm popping down to my local Bunnings. So they're just like the Bunnings bins at the front, are they? And they've got your branding so we know where to put them.
Yeah, as soon as you walk in the store, and most Bunnings have decorated it like a big handbag or they do such a beautiful job. And then our volunteers are actually in there 3 times a day to pick them up. They take them home, they check them, and then again, they give them out in the areas of which they're donated. So if they're donated in Geelong or Brighton or Bendigo, wherever they're donated, they stay in that local area to help the women in that area.
Oh, amazing. I'm definitely doing that. And like you said, if you can't afford to do it on your own, band together with a couple of mates and see what you can, you know, muster up.
Absolutely. And if you are never going to do it, you can donate dollars online and we will put together those bags for you. And I always say every woman everywhere should have access to the very basic of essentials. And that's a much harder thing to do for our remote Indigenous communities, even our drought-stricken farming communities, that we put together those bags with the money that you donate. So if you've only got $5 and you want to give $5, that's great. If you want to give 500 and you've got it, give it. Every little bit helps us to put together more bags.
Amazing. Well, I'll certainly be letting everyone know the link when we post this up so everyone can kind of go out, because I know, you know, we're enormous at Zing Wellbeing about supporting women. We're all women. We're all in this together. So we should all support each other at every element of life and in every element of life. And because it's really tough. Some people are doing it extremely tough and we should all help each other. So it's a big thing.
Well, fabulous. Thank you. And, you know, when the collection boxes are out in March and August, please just pick up an extra packet of pads or tampons or incontinence products off the shelf and pop them in the collection box at the front of the store.
Yeah, great. So they're going to be in Coles and Woolies, you say?
Just Woolworths?
Yeah.
Any Woolworths store in March and August, yeah? But also if you've got a business and you'd like to be a collection point, it's not just about the products you get donated, it's about the conversations. I mean, if you think about the shame and stigma that has surrounded menstruation for a very, very long time, we are all need to play a role in removing that shame and stigma by having conversations in workplaces, childcare centres, hairdressing salons, all of those sorts of things. And when there's a collection box there, there is a topic of conversation that people have been hiding away from for a very long time.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? But at least, like you said, all the work you're doing is bringing it front and center so people can talk about it, and and women who need that help can get that help.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, it was so good to talk to you today. Thank you so much for sharing your story, for talking to us about what Share the Dignity is doing and how we can all get involved and help. So thank you so much. And I'll be sure to put in the links to this podcast as well so everyone can see how they can get involved.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.